Hello and welcome to The Reporter. The Reporter is the news and current affairs program that goes beyond the headlines, bringing reporters from the field to give first-hand accounts and in-depth analysis of unfolding issues, correspondents' perspective, ensuring balanced, credible, and comprehensive storytelling of stories around the globe, inclusive of Nigeria. Of course, we're broadcasting from here in the capital city, Abuja. I am Annie Patrick. It's good to have you here join us today. But let's quickly take a cue to what's happening with the Independent National Electoral Commission, because it's the new era right now with the Senate approving the nominee from the presidency. But let's give you straight up where Professor Josiah Amoputan has pledged to conduct a comprehensive audit of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, focusing particularly on the logistics used during the 2023 general elections. Amoputan made the commitment during his screening before the Senate Committee of the Whole, following President Bola Tinubu's request for the nominee to be confirmed by the Red Chamber. He said the review would help identify the Commission's operational challenges and provide practical solutions in collaboration with relevant stakeholders. Don't forget that this whole idea of him is INEC is not just going to, it's not an individual thing, it's a multi-stakeholder, like I always talk around when I talk about issue of democracy and electoral process. It's a multi-stakeholder affair, and he's saying he's ready to put out the best as he's been confirmed by the Red Chamber to bring to bear all of that. But let's quickly tell you other stories. We also have stories making the rounds across all fields. Before we bring our correspondents to join me live in the studio to give you all the stories making the round. We also have stories trending since has to do politics and party. The leadership crisis within the Labour Party appears far from over, as the party national secretary Umar Farouk says its 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi may not contest in the 2023 general elections. Farouk made the comment during an interview on our political flagship program here in Abuja. Well, that's one of that story. Also, we also know that the story around the judiciary, you also have Kanu still in court, and there's a whole lot of issues around his ailments, if he's fit or not. But that's one story that is still making the rounds, and a lot of Nigerians are looking at where is the way in all of this. But the Nigerian Medical Association NMA panel, constituted by its president, has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that Nnamdi Kanu's ailment is not life-threatening. Justice James Omotosho had ordered the association to set up a panel to ascertain the actual health status of Kanu, detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra. Kanu's lawyer had, however, raised concerns about the medical reports, but all of this conversation and all the discussion in the front burner in Nigeria today. But let's quickly take this quick break, and when we come back, our correspondent from the Senate will come and give us in-depth analysis on how we went down there at the Senate Committee of the Whole, where the nominee from the president as INEC chair became confirmed as the one to lead INEC ahead of all the electoral process, where we look forward to 2027. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Well, it's still the reporter, and like I told you, a lot of stories making around, but joining me now is our Senate correspondent from the National Assembly, who will bring us up to speed with how this confirmation will aid the electoral process and also bring to bear what Nigerians are clamoring for. I have Topsy Gimba with me this day. Topsy, it's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a very long day, and it's Friday. People feel workload should reduce a bit. Well, here we are in what we could. But let's go quickly to this conversation. There's a whole lot happening. The clamor for a new INEC chairman, and here the Senate has approved Amapiton as the new chairman from the nomination list. But let's see how will his nomination or confirmation rather planned, which is what he has said at the Senate's floor. How will this planned audit of INEC's 2023 election logistics help strengthen transparency and efficiency in Nigeria's electoral process?
Well, of course, the audit he intends to do is just to make sure that he gets a proper balance to take off. Because if he gets into the office and probably without knowing the past, it's likely not going to end well. So when you know the past provides him to know what he should do and not to do. And I think that's the more is the one he wants to really know.
Okay.
He's a Nigerian. He's been living with us. He knows some of these issues Nigeria are really discussing about. The successes, the failures we noticed in the 2023 election, and even before. To put these issues together so that we get the best is to now look into why it didn't work this way, why it worked this way. So that if he wants to get the best, is to look at the successes and the failures and see how you now bind them together and then make some kind of progress. So that one should not be thinking probably he's probing the immediate past administration. I don't really think so.
Okay, but well, that will not be a good thing if you're going to probe, because this is something that you are coming to build, so there's no need to even look at all of that.
That is it.
But let's look at it. Like I always tell people, INEC or the electoral process is a multi-stakeholder, and he's also confirmed that he wants to collaborate with stakeholders to address the challenges, the operational challenges, especially to improve the credibility and the performance of future elections. Obviously, he has to do all of that. But that's what he's saying. But how do you think it's going to kick off? Because our political parties also pushing their heads so fast for 2027.
To manage election in Nigeria is actually very complex. Is it talk about the interests of the individuals or either the politicians themselves? Nobody wants to be a loser. Exactly. Everybody wants to be a winner. And they do everything to see they become winners at the end of the day. But the person who is considered to be the umpire knows basically who's supposed to get what at what time.
Exactly.
So that's that way it's supposed to be. Otherwise, Nigerians, if allowed to have their way, they will still mar the processes. Probably this present chairman might likely bring on board.
Exactly.
Because everybody is aspiring to become that. You know how they are now in the Senate or in the House of Representatives. Some of them tell you the stories they go through to become what they are. You'll be sympathetic to even collect their money.
Well, we'll find out how he's going to help to make the process easy.
Yes.
Because we're expecting to bring in new ideas.
Yeah, he's been a lawyer for that matter.
So he understands all the electoral acts, the laws, the governing electoral process. So thank you so much, Gimba, for being a part of the program.
I appreciate it.
Let's move away from Gimba and tell you the story. Still talking about politics, parties, and all of that. Let's tell you the leadership crisis within the Labour Party appears far from over, as I said earlier, as the party national secretary Umar Farouk says its 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi may not contest in the 2027 general elections. Well, he made this comment during an interview on our political program here in Abuja. Yes, Usoro Ubom to tell us more.
Appearing on Big Talk, the political program on global television, National Secretary of the Labour Party, Alhaji Umar Farouk, said Peter Obi has not indicated interest in returning to the party ahead of the 2027 elections and may not feature on the ballot.
President, I do not see him contesting because the Labour Party that you have, participated in and you have got this kind of number, it's a strong, throw to the presidency. You will throw it away.
Farouk, however, noted that the party remains open to receiving Obi if he chooses to return, but insisted that no individual is bigger than the Labour Party. Farouk maintained that his faction remains the only one recognized by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, dismissing other groups as dissidents, causing crisis for personal interest.
Of course, yes, the door is open. If he is coming, let him come. But I do not see him coming.
The Labour Party has been embroiled in a long-running leadership tussle between two factions led by Julius Abure and Nanadi Usman, each claiming legitimacy. Political observers say the prolonged crisis may weaken the Labour Party's electoral strength ahead of the 2027 polls if reconciliation efforts fail. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
Well, joining me right now in the studio is Ugo Musoro, who is our political correspondent, to give us in-depth on all of this conversation and where is Nigeria going to be, especially with Labour Party, if Peter Obi, who a lot of Nigerians are looking forward to in 2023, not looking at the possibility of contesting from what the secretary is saying. Well, let's have Usoro speak to us about that. Usoro, it's good to have you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. The problem with the Labour Party is the Nigerian problem, a leadership problem. It's also who should be in control of the party.
Exactly.
So presently they have two factions of the party: the Nanadi Senator Nanadi Usman led faction and the Barrister Julius Abure led faction. So the case is in court, so I'll not speak much on that.
Okay.
So I'll only speak on Peter Obi and his pleas, because the last NEC meeting of the Labour Party I attended, I saw Dati Baba Ahmed, that's the 2020 vice presidential candidate, and he spoke very glowingly that Peter Obi is still a member of the Labour Party. But we also saw Peter Obi attend the ADC coalition meeting at Segun Musaya Arewa Center where they started. So there are questions as to, is Peter Obi going to stay in the Labour Party, or is he going to move to ADC? But if he moves to ADC, it seems former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is already saying that he will contest for 2027 general elections. So is he going to give him the ticket? So those are some of the questions that the National Secretary raised, Umar Farouk, and said at this time, because Obi has not made peace with his own faction of the party, and that is a faction that is recognized by INEC. So he doesn't see Obi contesting for the 2027 general elections as the president.
So these are the terms he's looking at, because I was trying to believe or understand where he's getting the notion that it is not possible, because from what you've explained right now, he doesn't have peace. He's not on a peace path, rather, with his own faction, or the faction which is recognized, rather, by INEC
at the moment. So if Obi is not able to finalize with them, settle whatever grievance, it means they can't put him, they can't write and put him as the candidate, and he can't stand in the Labour Party. So maybe, like he mentioned during the reports, that maybe Obi may have another political party he has in mind, but for the Labour Party, he may not, come back to them. But those are some of the tussles that Obi is having now. And I think, but there's still time, like he mentioned, that the doors of himself and Barrister Julius Abure is always open for Peter Obi. But if Peter Obi calls back the party, comes back to join their faction, he must know that he will not come and lead the party. The party's constitution is supreme, and the Labour Party, politicians are not the leaders of the Labour Party. It is the leaders of the Labour Party are those who are elected and are given executive power to run the party. So I think it's just a leadership tussle. Who should control the structure? Who is this? And if they are able to sit down and say, because they've been friends for a long time. Pastor Julius Abure gave Peter Obi ticket prior to 2020 general election, supported him, went all around Nigeria to campaign with him. So if they have challenges, like I asked him, they could also settle it. So we pray if they want to settle. What's really our business?
There's always internal crisis when it comes to party. That's not just like a family. You always have issues. It's just the ability to resolve it and move forward. And we hope that they move past it before 2027 will come past them by again.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Ruben, for being a part of the program. Well, it's been a whole lot happening with political parties and the drama playing out with internal crisis, but that's the normal thing if you ask me. But let's move away from the issue of political parties. The Nigerian Medical Association NME panel, constituted by its president, has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that Nnamdi Kanu's ailment is not life-threatening. Justice James Omotosho had ordered the association to set up a panel to ascertain the actual health status of Kanu. The team leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Kanu's lawyer, has, however, raised concerns about the medical report. Yes, Uli Agumopode with the report.
Justice James Omotosho's order followed conflicting reports issued by medical experts engaged by the Department of State Services, DSS, and the Defense. In his response, Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, questioned the grounds on which the NMA reached its conclusion, expressing shock and disappointment at the medical report.
That's quite a surprising ruling today. We were served all of a sudden, as a matter of surprise, an ambush with the medical report, which the court ordered the Nigerian Medical Association to submit since 26th September. So that medical report that we were served is dated 10th October. And it was today that we were served in open court with it. So, well, you can say that the defense had no ample opportunity to react to it.
On the preparedness of Kanu's defense team to pursue the matter to a logical conclusion, Ejimakor expressed a mix of optimism and reservation.
Lawyers are trained to be ready for any eventuality, but the justice of the matter is another case altogether. I choose not to comment on that.
The court has directed the trial to resume on October 23rd, 2025. Uyi Agbomofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Well, it's still the reporter, and like I said, there's a whole lot happening. Here's from the judiciary and the ailments around the leader of the proscribed people of Biafra, and we will have this conversation with our correspondent who just brought us up to speed with what the issue is, if he is actually fit or not fit. Like I said, it's always a program that brings you in-depth analysis and also the correspondent's perspective. Yes, we live here with me in the studio. It's good to have you as always.
My pleasure, Nietzsche.
There's a whole lot happening, and the question has been asked back and forth. What's the way forward? What's the way with all of these issues around Nnamdi Kanu? What did the Nigerian Medical Association panel tell the Federal High Court? Because aside the fact that regarding his health condition, because it's been said to be threatening, but right now we have a whole lot happening around it. People are still saying he's not been stable.
Right.
But the MMA is saying his health condition is stable enough to appear in court.
You see, that's the conversation I had with Priscilla Obasi earlier this morning on Global Warning, right? So I made it clear that we need to establish the context. The NMA didn't say you're ailment-free. They didn't say you don't have health concerns.
But they say that
The point is very clear, exactly. The perspective is specific. You are healthy enough to stand trial, because that's the bone of contention.
Okay.
The man says he's not healthy enough to stand trial. And then the judge says, since we have conflicting reports, before now, health reports from the DSS and then from your own lawyers, Mr. Kanu, let's bring a neutral, independent entity to help us, advise us medically. And as such, NMA was invited. And the national president of the NMA himself, had to set up a panel in this regard. And that panel, the jury is in now, right? So the result is very clear. It says that you have XYZ concerns health-wise. However, you are fit enough to stand trial. So that's the basis again on which Kanu's legal team is now saying, look, if somebody is this ill, it means that they obviously can't stand trial. But then again, Kanu's lawyers are not doctors.
Exactly.
None of them even admitted that much.
Okay, because I was about to ask the same question. Why is it that the lawyers are concerned about his health? Because if the medical experts have said, yes, you have a health challenge,
right,
but doesn't stop you from standing in court.
That's an element that's very important, which you have just highlighted. There's a lot of sentiment around this case, if you remember. First of all, Kanu is from the eastern part of the country, and there are those who believe that it is the Igbos versus the federal government. One of his lawyers did say that it is the Igbos that are on trial, not just...
But we have Igbos who are doing very well still in the government here.
Of course, but you see, that's where sentiment distorts the facts. But again, this is a case of, it's now a subject of litigation, and the Justice Omotosho has said that they return to courts next week, Thursday, 23rd of October. All
right, the good thing is we're going to be here from courts and find out how this will pan well in the long run of that. Well, thank you so much, Uyi. But I still had to have you here because we have other stories which I wanted to be part of. I wanted to be part. But let's look at the foreign scene. United States President Donald Trump has indicated that the authorized covert CIA action against Venezuela. Trump's comments have triggered outrage from leftist Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, who has made since ordered military exercise following a fresh U.S. strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean. But we also brought us that story. That's why I didn't let him go. Let's take that report.
They came in through the...
Republican Trump declined to comment in detail about a New York Times report that he had secretly approved the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela against President Maduro.
Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. They came in through the, they came in through the border. They came in because we had an open border policy. And as soon as I heard that, I said, a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser. And they've entered they've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. We're bringing them back, but that's a really bad, and they did it at a level that probably not, many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela.
Trump also said he was weighing up whether to expand U.S. military actions against alleged Venezuelan drug cartels to the land after a series of deadly naval strikes on boats.
And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela. And a lot of the Venezuelan drugs come in through the sea, so you get to see that. But we're going to stop them by land also.
At least 27 people have been killed in recent U.S. attacks on boats in the Caribbean. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Well, that's it. That's what's happening. But let's ask Uyi, because Uyi also follows stories around the foreign scene. Uyi, let's look at the issue. Why did Trump reveal that he authorized the covert CIA operations from what we have there?
All right, so that conversation had been ongoing for a while, but again, we circle back to a New York Times article, all right, that did a very special coverage of that incident, of how that, because the question of who authorized that operation had been hanging until that article came out, and then White House journalists confronted the U.S. president about it, and of course, ultimately he had to answer, and he said, yes, he did, and he gave his reasons. The first thing he said was that, I mean, again, that's a very hefty allegation, that the Venezuelan authorities are, in his words, pouring in prisoners into the U.S., all right? So he said that's the first reason. They want to ensure that those prisoners don't find their way into the U.S. And the second reason is to also ensure that the drug dealers who are in Venezuela no longer have those channels or those resources and all of those, if you like, infrastructure to be able to bring drugs illicitly into America. Those are the two reasons. But again, this now has increased tension between Venezuela, which has really not been a friend of the U.S., and now the U.S. authorities under the leadership of President Trump. And that also is ironic in itself, because on the one hand, the U.S. president has brokered peace, at least from what we can see, between Hamas and Israel, and is also working in a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. However, back at home, he has his own domestic problems.
Exactly, because that's always the thing. You try to fix issues outside and forget the home front.
Right.
Well, I hope we can fix that. Number one. But how did Venezuela President Nicolas respond to Trump's comments and the recent U.S. strike in the Caribbean?
He sees it as an imperialist move. So what he has done is to ensure that he has some sort of standby force. So if you saw that, that footage a while ago, you see that there has been military drills, all right, in Caracas, that's the capital of Venezuela, to ensure that they are not taken unawares, because they know that President Trump can snap, and the next thing you know is war escalates, and the whole situation escalates and can just snowball into a full-fledged warfare. So Venezuela doesn't want to, in the words of former Vice President Osinbajo, come undone. So they want to be ready whatever happens ultimately.
Okay, well, we just hope that they find a way around themselves, because this is always the way forward, is peace and giving people what they need at the right time. Thank you so much, Uyi.
My pleasure always.
All right. Well, that's it. Uyi has been amazing here with us, and we just want to say thank you so much, because this is where we'll have to draw the curtain on the program, The Reporter. We hope we got you informed in depth on all the issues that came for you. Well, we'll say a big thank you once again to our viewer for staying glued to the screen. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. To stay connected, kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now shown on your screen using @GlobalTVNG. Until the next time, I am Anita Patrick. Thank you. Have a lovely day ahead of you.